Trump meltdown was trending on Twitter. So let me show you the so-called meltdown. So President Trump is asked a question by a CBS reporter named Wai Zhejiang. Okay, and the question is utterly stupid. It's an idiotic question, a truly idiotic question. It's a typical gotcha, Mr. President, why are you so mean, bad, and ugly question, right? Mr. President, when did you stop beating your wife question? The political media are not giving the American public the information they need. It's so funny. The political media are like, we shouldn't show Trump on TV because he's giving misinformation. What about the fact that your entire agenda is completely directed toward the politics of the situation, as opposed to, the actual question that Americans want answered, like, how safe are we going to be? What are the risk calculations? And are we going to die? Right? Those seem like those would be more relevant considerations. So how about you get your economic team up there and your health team up there, and you have the economic and health teams from the newspapers ask the questions? Because these people are asking the dumbest questions ever, like CBS's Wai Zhejiang, and then posture as a victim. So here is the exchange between Trump and Wai Zhejiang that led to a blow-up.
Why is this a global competition to you if every day Americans are still losing their lives and we're still seeing more cases every day?
Okay, before we get to Trump's answer, that question is so bad and so ridiculous and so stupid. The reason it's bad and stupid and ridiculous is because Trump, before this, he claims that the United States is now testing more than any other country. Okay, on a raw basis, that's true. On a per capita basis, it's approaching the truth. Okay, now, why is he comparing how we're doing to other countries? Because you guys keep saying that we are lagging based on other countries. And so he has been responding to that. But according to Wai, so her question is, why do you keep comparing us to other countries when Americans are dying? Because it's sort of relevant to determine our success levels in testing to compare us to other countries. Because our test levels are never going to be sufficient to meet 50 million a day. So it seems more reasonable to compare us to how are other countries who are successful doing. It's a perfectly reasonable, it's a dumbass question and a perfectly reasonable thing for the president of the United States to compare how we're doing to other countries. It's what we do every single day. It's what Worldometers does, what Johns Hopkins does. When we look at deaths per 100,000, what do you think we're doing? What do you think we're doing? Okay, so it's an idiotic question, and here was Trump's answer.
Well, they're losing their lives everywhere in the world. And maybe that's a question you should ask China.
Sir, why are you saying that to me specifically?
I'm telling you, I'm not saying it specifically to anybody. I'm saying it to anybody that would ask a nasty question like that.
That's not a nasty question.
Please go ahead. Next, please.
But you called on me.
I did, and you didn't respond, and now I'm calling on the young lady in the back, please.
I just wanted to let my colleague finish, but can I ask you
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's not a meltdown, because what happened there is that he then called on another reporter who raised her hand, and she ceded her time back to the woman who was busy screaming at Trump, basically. By the way, taking off her mask just so she could get on camera, right? That's what she does. So we hear, look at us, we're masked up just because we are so virtuous. But you know what? This is my big moment on camera. I'm taking off the mask so you can see that I'm Chinese, and that's why you're asking the question. See, so question. Did Trump know she was Chinese or not? Right, of Chinese extraction or not? She's American, I assume. She's of Chinese extraction, is my understanding. So if no one knew that she was of Asian extraction or Chinese extraction before she removed the mask, then it's not racist for him to say. By the way, it's not racist for him to say it anyway. He's been saying for months, ask China about the levels of death. Ask China about the levels. Of course we should ask China about the levels of death. This is China's damned fault. China is still manipulating the WHO to keep Taiwan out of hearings on this stuff. China still won't answer straight questions as to how this thing escaped Wuhan. They still won't allow an investigation as to how this thing started. Trump has been saying, talk to China for a long time. So just because this reporter happens to be, I assume, of Chinese extraction, I don't even know, right? She makes that the issue. He doesn't. But then she's like, why are you asking me that? Are you saying that because I'm Chinese? Okay, this is the most garbage, stupid form of media. Naturally, the entire media jump on this. So Brian Stelter, just journalisming up the wazoo, right? Media watchdog Brian Stelter, he says, this is racist. Here is Brian Stelter really rolling that R in. Racist.
I think what we saw in that exchange with Wei Zhejiang is something that has racial overtones. It is racist to look at an Asian American White House correspondent and say, ask China. This isn't happening in a vacuum. This is part of a pattern of behavior from the president that goes back many years. So he doesn't have the benefit of the doubt that someone might have if, for the first time ever in their life, they made a comment like that to a reporter.
That wasn't the first time in his life he made that comment. He talks about China at every single press conference. Didn't we have a controversy like a month and a half ago where he kept calling it the Chinese virus? Right? Have we all hit our heads and experienced short-term memory loss? I understand that we now live in the world of Interstellar. We're on like the water planet and every minute is 7 years long and all of this. But It was like 4 weeks ago when we had an entire national controversy over Trump saying Chinese virus. Was he doing that for the benefit of Wai Zhejiang? Ridiculous. Ridiculous. And then you get Rachel Maddow. Something is wrong with Trump. Something's wrong with, clearly something has broken in Trump. Or maybe you always thought something was broken, and now you have your confirmation bias, Rachel Maddow. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. What great journalism our media does. First, they tell us that we can't leave our houses without a vaccine. Then they refuse to give us statistics on the seroprevalence test so we know what the actual risk factors are by population. Then they suggest that everybody who's a Republican governor is bad, even if Democratic governors are doing the exact same thing. And then they suggest that if President Trump tells a reporter to ask China about deaths abroad, that's because the reporter is Chinese. What the hell is wrong with these people? And then you wonder why American trust in the media is at an all-time low. I wonder. I cannot imagine why. Rachel Maddow.
The president right now, in the midst of this crisis, is visibly struggling. There is something wrong, or he's just not doing okay. I don't know. But the president apparently just is not able to keep it together right now in his public appearances. What is wrong with the president today? We don't know. I mean, something's wrong. I mean, whether or not you like the president or not, whether you enjoy his public affect or not on a regular basis, it's clear that there's something wrong.
Oh, is that clear? Is that clear? Or is it that there's something wrong with the media? Trump has been Trump this whole time. I'm old enough to remember when the media used to ask questions that were not entirely geared toward, Mr. Trump, you're very bad, orange, and large. Why? Why are your hands so tiny, Mr. President? Are you just angry at me because I'm Chinese, Mr. President? Our genius. How dare Trump? How dare he? How dare he? It's just absurd.